Give God a chance. So, many of you know, and there's a handful of you here that are currently going through my class, and the idea of my class called My Path is this understanding that, like Scott was saying earlier, that there's actually some people that come into Unity. Many of you come in here, you feel good, you have an idea of what you're doing, and you're like, I just like the space, and I like to talk to cool people that are kind of doing the same thing I am. It's fun to be here. However, what I noticed over the past couple of years is some people would come in, and I'm sure especially people that have been around here for a while would agree with me when you say that when you walk in these doors and you kind of start to get a whiff of what's going on within Unity, it's like, yeah, but how do I do this thing? Like, I'm not exactly quite sure how to do this thing. Like, yeah, there's the books, and there's the teachings, and there's all the stuff that we can do, and yes, there's the tools, and we can learn the tools, and we can start applying them to our life, but I don't get it. I don't know how to engage in it because it's non-linear. And the other thing, it's not only non-linear, it's not logical when it really comes down to it. Why? Because we're going into our heart. That's why. And so, for some people, that's not the easiest thing to grasp. And so I started to think about, well, could I possibly do something to help that? And that's how this whole thing started. And so what happened is I started thinking about it, and Spirit came in and said, Mike, why don't you just tell people like kind of how you did it, right? And not that my way is the way. I'll never say that. If you've been here for more than 2 weeks, you'll know me. I never say that. But what I'm saying is if there was some way that I could help and support people who are trying to figure out a way to engage with it, then let's do that. And as I looked at it, I looked at this process that I went through. It really came down to 4 steps. And before I talk about the 4 steps, I'm going to tell you this right now. They are non-linear. In other words, they don't necessarily go in this particular order, but they kind of do. And the other thing that I'm going to tell you is that this is a lifetime journey. So even though I'm going to show you the thing that I'm going through, to sit here and tell you that I'm done is absolutely ridiculous to think, because in my opinion, we are never done. Ever, 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 ever. We are always growing. We are always expanding. There's always more. We can always go deeper and deeper and deeper into our own process, into our own divinity, into understanding who and what we are and who and what God is. And so the 4 parts of this process. Number 1, unlearning. I needed to go through and understand exactly what my beliefs were in order for me to be able to figure it out, because some of the stuff that I had in there, and we'll talk about that in a minute, was not helping me in any way, shape, or form. Then guess what I had to do? Well, obviously, then I had to learn. I unlearned. Okay, I'm going to take all the stuff away. Then what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to learn. Learning is great. But guess where learning happens? Guess where it needs to go? Here. Step 3, embody. You embody it. In other words, you become it. So you learn the stuff, and then you embody it. And then my experience was, once I did those 3 steps, then what happened is what? Live, serve. I wanted to serve. I want to give back. Why? Because it makes me happy, and I want other people to experience the same joy and happiness that I found when I finally started getting rid of all the crap that was up here and put stuff in there that was a little bit more in alignment with my own understanding and my own walk and my own journey, and in my opinion, the way that this thing called God works. Then it was like, oh, I get it. So those were the 4 steps. And in the class, that's kind of what we're doing. We're going through those steps. So when I thought about that, as the question obviously comes up, well, why learning? I got to back up for a minute and talk about something. Now, for all you neuroscience people out there, yay! As you know, I'm a life coach, and this stuff, I get excited about it. And I've talked about this stuff occasionally, even on Sunday mornings, because in my opinion, it's everything. So when you really study Unity, you understand that Unity is really a set of practical tools for helping. They are tools that you apply. What are they really? They're helping us get into our mind and finding out what beliefs are in there. What are beliefs? What is a belief? A belief, simply stated, and I love this definition, is it's a thought that you keep thinking over and over again. So let me explain something to you. When it comes to your beliefs, what happens is you perceive something, you understand it, and you start telling yourself that thing over and over and over again. Then what happens in your brain? A physical neural pathway. It is a real thing that is created in your brain that they can test, they can light up, you can see it, it is there. Because ultimately what happens is the brain is lazy. It really, really is. And it doesn't want to have to sit there and continuously think something over and over and over again. It does not want to do that. So it creates a neural pathway, and then what happens? It becomes dormant, so it just sits there. So anytime you need this neural pathway, then it just fires. And it happens that quick. So that's how neural pathways are formed. That's how a belief is formed. So here's the crazy part. Does it matter if the belief is true or not? Spoiler alert, it doesn't matter. You mean I can believe stuff that's not true? Yes, 100% you can believe stuff that's not true. Oh. So then you have to ask your question, okay, well, great. Where did these original beliefs come from? Now, normally, for most of us, they start off with who? Authority figures, which is our parents. Where else could they come from? Well, your environment? Yeah, of course it can. How about your perceptions? Right, wrong, or indifferent? Yes, it can be your perceptions or different events that you've experienced. Right. So now we're looking at all these beliefs that we have, right? And all of those things are happening to us. Now, what I'm going to tell you, I've shared this with you before, when you are 0 to 7 years old, generally speaking, you have no ability to filter any of it out. You take all of it in. All of it comes inside of you. And it forms your belief system. At 7 years old, give or take a year or two, what happens is we start shutting off that ability. And all of those beliefs that we have, and this is brilliant, now goes into our subconscious mind. Why? I don't know why, but it does. But the thing that just, to me, cracks me up in some respects, makes me mad in other respects, is let me get this right. So you mean to tell me that after that point in time, I have all these beliefs that are going to run my entire life that I'm not even consciously aware of? The answer is yes. So in other words, your life, everything that you do, the way that you react, what you believe, everything is in your subconscious mind, and you don't even know it. Who signed me up for this? Are you kidding me? It's the truth. So that's what happens. That's how the subconscious is formed, because the brain is lazy. It doesn't want to have to sit there and continuously repeat the stuff. So it puts it all in your subconscious mind until something happens, a trigger happens, and now, bam, this thought or this belief shows up when you need it. But in the meantime, it's sleeping, and we don't even know it, right? Well, great, Mike. What does that have to do with anything? Well, again, here's a couple of thoughts to think of. Do your beliefs that are running your life, do they come from you? As a general rule of thumb? No. Some cases, a little bit. Some cases, not. Here's the other question. Are all of our beliefs true? Hence, going back and unlearning. And that's why we do it. That's why my suggestion is start with unlearning. Now, I'm just going to tell you that unlearning is really about uncovering all these beliefs that we have, determining what they are, determining where they came from, and deciding if you want to keep them or not. Not all of our beliefs are bad, right? Some are, some aren't. Just depends, right? So I call this, in our class, unpacking the box. I'm going to give you an analogy. I want you to think about this. We all have our beliefs, right? So imagine we have this little box that's inside of us, and that box is full of all of our beliefs. What would happen if at one point in time, my suggestion is do it often. If you pull that box out, and we just imagine sitting the box on the table, and the box is sitting there, and we open up the box. Now we've got all these beliefs, and we take all these beliefs and we start setting them out on the table, and we've got all these different beliefs, and we're looking at all of them. And then all of a sudden, we've got all these beliefs on the table. They're all out in the box, and we start looking at them, and we start reviewing them, and we start to ask ourselves the question, is this one really serving me? Is this one the one that I really want? Is this really what I'm hoping for and what I want to create in my life? And so we get to do this. We get to do this process of actually doing it. How many people have ever done anything, even closely related to what I'm talking about? Has anybody? A handful. Most are not raising your hands. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you're anything other than it's a process that you go through, right? And so as you think about it, so I want to talk about my original box, okay? So my parents, as many of you know, you've heard the story. One of these days, someone's going to come up and say, Mike, we've heard it enough. My parents were agnostic. My dad had a Bible on his little table next to his thing, and I think maybe 5 times I saw him maybe reading the Bible, but it was not at all discussed in our home. It just was not. So what happened was I had a really good friend of mine. His family were fun. They had a good time. They were always going to church, and they would always go out to breakfast afterwards. And finally, one day I asked him, hey, would it be okay if I go with you? And he was like, yeah, come on. The family's like, sure, we party. Let's go. So I go there. It is a Methodist church. How many people are from that tradition? A few? Yes. So Methodist is what? Extremely fundamental. I don't know. I just loved the family. I loved having fun. I really did have a passion for God at the time. And I thought, this is fantastic. But as a result of that, guess what I became? A fundamental Christian. Okay? So that's my background. And as a result of it, my belief system looks something like this. So, who is God as a fundamental Christian to me? And by the way, for all of you sitting there, I don't mean anything about this list that I'm about to produce, other than I'm telling you this was Mike's reality. Maybe this wasn't your reality. And I'm not throwing stones. I'm not. I'm just telling you what it was like for me to go through this. Who is God? God was this old white dude. That's who God was. God lived in the sky, apart from me, completely separate from me. He was powerful. Yeah, he could do some amazing, incredible things, right? He loved me, but only if I followed these 10 rules that he gave down to this cat named Moses. And so we had these 10 rules we had to follow, right? He was very strict with those rules. In fact, he would kill people if he didn't follow it, or he would send a flood, or he would send a famine, or he would do something when he wasn't too happy, right? He monitored my thoughts. He knew everything that I was thinking. Anybody want to add anything to that? So that was me. That's who I thought God was. Oh, and he had one son. And speaking of his son, Jesus Christ, right? What do I know about Jesus Christ? The one and only Son of God. There are no any other Son of God. None. None. He was my Savior, I guess. He was going to save me because apparently I guess I needed to be saved. And so if I believed in him and accepted him into my life, I would be saved and go to heaven when I die, as long as I followed the 10 Commandments and as well as the rules that he taught. How many people right here, right now, who are from the similar tradition could tell me what the verse John 3:16 says? For God so loved his world that he gave his only begotten son. Yeah, I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it, right? It's like burned into my memory, right? Whew, man. What else? Oh, he could perform miracles. Sounds like a pretty cool cat, right? Jesus is pretty cool. And then he put on a couple of new thoughts about loving a neighbor and loving God, something like that. I don't know. But anyways, that was Jesus as a fundamental Christian, right? Who was I? I don't know, but I didn't start off very well. Why? Because I was born in original sin. Wait a minute, I didn't even get out of the gate and I'm screwed. Hell, my God. Which meant I was a sinner, right? Which meant I needed to be saved because God knows I couldn't do it on my own, right? And I was separate from God and I was separate from everybody else. Okay. I wasn't worthy of receiving God's love. Yep. And if I accepted Jesus into my life, my sins would be forgiven as long as I followed the 10 Commandments. How many people grew up with that? There might be a few. Yeah. Yep. And by the way, there may have been one or two other little beliefs in the Bible that were there for us to play with, and I'm not going to lay those out, but I do in the class. How about who's the devil? How about heaven and hell? How about the purpose of life? How about money? How about good versus evil? How about sex? How about the Bible? How about any other religion or beliefs? How about reincarnation? Just to name a few. There may be a few other ones in there, but I think you know where I'm going. So, there you have it. Those are my beliefs when I was young. And then guess what happened? Unity. Unity happened. I walked through those doors 45 years ago, and all of a sudden, I started hearing different things other than what I was taught when I was younger. It was like, and everything changed. Everything changed. Everything. Now, here's a question for you. Does that mean God changed? Oh, wait a minute. So God didn't change. No, it meant I changed. My understanding of God changed. That's what changed. Oh, okay. Fillmore, Charles, God is principle. It's definite, exact, and unchangeable. Rules of action. God didn't change. God didn't change anything. I changed when I walked in these doors, right? God is like a law. When you read that definition, it's like a law. It's like the law of gravity. It's kind of always on. And it doesn't care if you want to pay attention to it or not. It is there constantly, right? So God didn't change. I changed, right? And what I'm asking you to consider for just a minute is, how about you? How about your relationship with God? Is it maybe time, maybe time to look at your relationship with God and pull the box open it up, and see what's in there? And see what those beliefs are that you have, and see if they're serving you and treating you the way that you want to treat them, and have this relationship with God the way that you want to have the relationship with God. Because what's happened with me, what I noticed, is when I'm struggling, when I'm really having a hard time, especially with my relationship with God, it has got nothing to do with God. Nothing to do with God. It's got everything to do with me. When all of a sudden you start to realize that, then it's like, oh. I can think of times in my life where I've been really pissed at God. Anybody been there? One or two? Yeah. I think we all have. I think that's part of this experience, right? And I really look at that time and I think to myself, wow, after I'm through it, it's not easy to do when you're in the middle of it. But afterwards, I look back and I can see where it's like, yeah, I just didn't believe that this, and this, or I went back to some old beliefs or something. But the point is sitting down and actually spending some time with it in this relationship, because for me personally, God is such a huge part of my life. There isn't a day, there isn't very few moments where somehow I'm trying to figure out, that song, I want more of you, God. I want more, I want more, I want more. And God's going, come on, Mike. Come on, man. Come on. Bring it. Because trust me, what Spirit is telling me, I got you, and then some. So you want to play this game? Bring it. Because let me show you what I got. Let me show you what this really is. And what I realize as I go deeper and deeper and deeper into this relationship and let go of it, what I'm telling you is the experience that I have going through my body when I'm experiencing God is like love like no other. The love goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And so that experience, that whispers keep nudging me. And it's beautiful. And my hope and prayer for you is that it can be the same for you. And so I thought this was going to be just a part one talk, but it's actually going to be part two. So next week, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about spiritual maturity. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about that. We're going to talk about something called the adjacent possible. Some people know what that is, some people don't. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And then, just like I did with my old beliefs, I'm going to share one or two of my new beliefs, which obviously a lot of them happen to be unity beliefs about who God is, who Jesus is, who I am. Yeah. Having said that, has this been helpful? Maybe a little bit. How many people are kind of going like, woo, man? So did I. I thought it was super fun preparing for the classes. I'm writing these things down. I'm writing these beliefs, and I'm like, man, that's the way it started. Anyways, you're amazing. You're beautiful. You are an incredible expression of the divine. This world would not be the same without you. It would not be this. We would be missing something. And I hope you know that. I hope you know how special you are, how lucky we are to have you, and how grateful personally I am for each and every one of you, for being here, for sharing, for showing up, and doing this incredible dance. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless, namaste, and namaste.
Hey, it's Reverend Mike here. I just wanted to stop for a moment before you get on with your day and thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. It means the world to us, and I just wanted to let you know if there's anything that we can do to make your experience even better, please do not hesitate to reach out by going to our website. I also wanted to offer you the opportunity for us to get together and sit down so I could get to know you a little bit better and answer any questions that you have. I can either do that by either getting together in person, have a cup of coffee, or we can meet online via Zoom. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me at michael@courage2thrive.com. And lastly, if you find these messages are helping you, we would be tremendously grateful if you'd consider donating to the center. The best and the easiest way to do that is simple. Just go to our website. Again, thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Hope you're doing well. God bless, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.